Chapter 22 continued. The End of Solara. With Buck, Finnegan, and Andrew Clay completely depleted of their magical energy, was Solara still able to fight? Solara monologued. You came all this way just to end up here. You at least gave me a decent fight to your credit. But it ends here for you three and the rest of the Celanese and Valkyrie kind. Solara then charged a Sunslayer magical beam to incinerate the three until he heard a voice from a nine-tailed kitsune. Solara, you are already dead. Buck then weakly muttered, Victor? But rather than see Friar Victor, Solara stopped to see who said those words and said, Nani? Then a nine-tailed kitsune with the mark of no Jitsune on his face immediately summoned his ethereal blade and severed the connection in Solara's primordial protogen limbs and the magical fusion core without killing him. Then Solara was left there, unable to move his limbs, nor use magic. The seeming nine-tailed Nojitsune then stood over Solara and said, Your war against the innocent ends here, and may the descendants of those you killed 3,000 years ago decide your fate. The nine-tailed Nojitsune then put away his ethereal blade and faced Buck and Finnegan and said, Thank you for doing most of the work. Now I ought to get on my way. Buck then asked while the Nojitsune turned around, And you're not even going to tell me your name? Although Buck didn't recognize the Nojitsune without his visor on, Finnegan knew exactly who he was, but was unable to say it out loud. The Nojitsune then answered while walking away, My name is unimportant. As he used his ethereal magic to heal Buck, Finnegan, and Andrew Clay immediately. Then the Nojitsune disappeared without a trace. Finnegan then thought out loud, Was that Yako's ghost? Finnegan was then left with more questions than answers. How could a legitimate Nojitsune gain all nine tails? Were true Nojitsunes even capable of redemption? Could a hypothetical redeemed Nojitsune even gain a pure heart to have their ninth tail? They were all questions that went through Finnegan's mind. Buck then interjected, Hey Finny, you got any idea what we're going to do with Solara? Finnegan then answered, Whatever that Nojitsune seems to have completely immobilized and made Solara incapable of using magic. So, I say we stay here and contact the Celanese command, and have them take it from there. Sounds like a good plan. Clay, you have any input? Andrew Clay answered, I agree with Finnegan. I'd rather not deal with this creature any further. Besides, this is my last mission before retirement, because my wife Lizzie is now pregnant, and I want to be there when our baby is born. I'm sorry how my wife treated you, and she used to work with you, and how she had a chip on her shoulder about Natalia. Buck then lowered his tanuki ears. You've got nothing to apologize for. It just sounds better that Lizzie's getting the help she needs. She still scares me, though. Andrew Clay then laughed. Like any metal dragonborn would, even terrifying fairies. Buck, Finnegan, and Andrew then waited around until the Celanese military showed up and took the living paralyzed Solara to a maximum security containment facility. Meanwhile, Yako made his way back to the village as Father Anthony greeted Yako. How did your adventures to Lansaro City go? Yako then answered, I was fortunate enough I was able to spare Solara and didn't have to kill him. The Celanese authorities will decide what to do with him from here. And in doing so, you have spared yourself from a 3-year excommunication. But I understand if you felt the need to kill Solara to protect millions of other people, and in that sense be justified when you had no other choice. I can understand it too, but I do not want any more blood on my hands. If I may have your blessing, I'd like to return to my home country to complete some unfinished business. I feel like I need some closure with my past. And for me, the best way to do that is to walk where I had committed those sins and repent of them. One of those things is vending the relics of Moshi the Blacktail, whom I martyred so many centuries ago, because he is the reason, along with Friar Victor, why I came to Christ. Father Anthony then motioned with the shape of a cross with his right hand, in the shape of a Christogram gesture. You have my blessing. I understand also if you do not want to return here. But if you do, you're always welcome back. Thank you. Now I will be on my way. Yaku then began his pilgrimage to return to the Kitsune clan, even to stop in the Tanuki clan to venerate the relics of Moshi the Blacktail. And in doing so, he sought to make right the things of his past. The last of the Valkyries. After the failure of the Valkyries to conquer the Selenese people, and without their leader Darius, they had fractured into many holdouts and factions. And in his disappointment, King Azrael of the Void Kingdom had the Valkyrie Kingdom exterminated from orbital bombardment. Darius would then go on as a vagabond fugitive from the Selenese, American, and Sorceran authorities and military. But even with their most advanced searches, all they found was Darius's body in rags, stabbed to death by a crackhead in San Francisco, California. And although the remaining Valkyries didn't know it, the Valkyries that remained in many countries and lived peaceful lives were the last of their kind. Meanwhile, the dark mage Isis decided that her Jester Nightmare monster needed a test run and used it to successfully steal Solara from the Selenese containment facility. And with Solara, she was going to turn him into an empty husk, a living marionette of his former self, as the dark mage pulled his strings. And then she put the magical fusion core inside the Jester, making the Jester the first nightmare monster truly capable of magic outside of its creators. Did you know this? Sub-chapter titles. Akrill Tanuki's thesis is a reference to the opening of the anime called Neon Genesis Evangelion, with the title of the opening being A Cruel Angel's Thesis. It was also because of the opening for that anime that was used in countless memes, making anything into an anime opening. Parody. This whole chapter is meant to be a parody of multiple franchises from the start. I know this isn't typical tone of this novel, but I needed a break from the more serious and bleak part of things. The Dark Mage normally, serious, drama, off the wall. Chapter 22, it's Weebin time.